giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Chip. Good morning, good people, on this Good Friday. Love Fridays. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! I love Fridays. Love being here with you guys. Appreciate you being here. Today, we got a three-leg show today. Starting off with the roundup at the top with some injury news, update, I should say. And then some good news for the quarterback, for those that still care about him. Then we'll end the 2018 draft class review, where I think we should start to revamp that unit, as you guys can see down below. For those that are watching live, for those that are not, we're talking about the offensive line. And then finally, it's Fan Friday, so we will open up the mailbag segment, so stick around for that. Got questions from YouTube, got questions from Instagram, some really damn good questions. You guys are getting good with those. It's hard. I might have to do a whole damn show on just mailbag questions because you guys bring the heat. Now, I won't answer any of those obvious ones like, should we trade Dak Prescott? Come on. We're not doing that. Let's start this thing off right on this Good Friday. Appreciate you guys joining us in the building. A to Z Sports Live. Daily Cowboys content. I know we're getting into dog days of the offseason, about to be, I should say, because this is the first weekend knowing there will be no NFL football following it all the way until August. So it's something we'll get through together. But we got you, man. We got you locked here and covered here on A to Z Sports Dallas. Make sure y'all remain locked in all off season for daily real coverage. I love to use that word real. I use it in my opening. I use it in my closing. I use it when we come back from break, because that's what I try to do here is be as real as possible and not the fluffy stuff and not the clickbaity stuff. And I understand sometimes you got to do that, but that's what we try to strive for here, is to be real. And I appreciate you guys here that are rocking with me every morning. Jaylon says, you like the morning shows? Man, I love doing the morning show. Love it. I love to bring the energy, hopefully bring you guys some energy. Get your day started right with some Cowboys news, man. And it's going to be more than just Cowboys news as well moving forward. Shout-outs in order. We got JSS, Moat Mosley, Miss Sheila Neal in the building, Fresh Fade, Damian R., Mike Harris, Captain America. Already talking about Connor. I got you, brother. Jaws 88, Derek Smalls, Tom Downey Burner account, Iceberg Q, Jay Carter, Mackenzie, two-time, Adam Mack, Alpha Mason, Elmatic 7, TC915, Professor O in the building, Stage, Matt Goddess, what's up, brother? DCKHY001, and over here on Facebook, Youngstar Just 2, D.A. Lee, Lance Bell, John Garcia, Mariko, CJ Richards, and Chuck P. Appreciate you guys. Notification squad, as well I like to call you, because you guys are in here early. But for those that aren't in here right away, that's all good. That's all good. We have a pretty good show lined up for today. Like I said, it's a three-leg show. Roundup at the top. Going to come out of that and talk about Connor Williams and this offensive line, some options, potential options. Is he a potential option? And then later, we'll hit the mailbag segment with some good good questions that you guys provided on YouTube and Instagram. What's up, Cajun Cowboy? All the way from Nolans. Appreciate you. Tom Downey, always with the early one.
Super chat.
He says, with $2 donation, mad respect, Sky, finding CW picks with him not holding. The curious case of Connor Williams is what I actually call his tenure here in Dallas. And obviously it ended with the penalties. And we'll talk about that coming out of the roundup. So make sure y'all stick around for that. All right. So let's do it. Let's just jump straight into the roundup. Some interesting news in regards to the quarterback. And then the NFL did speak on the Cowboys drama scandal from yesterday. So we'll talk about that in a quick sec.
Look at them, it's about that time.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Yes, indeed. The morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Strive for progress, not perfection. Make sure you check out Texas Family Fitness at any of the 9 locations or hit up texasfamilyfitness.com. So, the NFL apparently reached out to Dallas Morning News because I guess the Dallas Morning News reached out to them and said that there will be no investigation into the Cowboys' handling of accusations against former PR chief Rich Dalrymple. It was handled at the club level, says the league, and the league is satisfied with that. This isn't a shocker to me, Cowboys Nation, so I'm not going to act surprised. This is something that I feel as though the league knew about years ago. I don't have any sources on that, but how could they not, right? Like, this is Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys we're talking about. And if there's a potential to put a smear on them in that manner, that will look bad to the NFL as well. And we know Goodell and Jerry are close buds in a sense of they want the same thing for the NFL. They may not agree. They may not agree on what Jerry wants for his team, but they want the same thing for the NFL. So they may not be best friends, but we understand that they have the same agenda. So this doesn't surprise me at all that they essentially look the other way. You know what I mean? Essentially look the other way. So the NFL won't be stepping in. There won't be any fines. Remember, we talked about this, Professor O, Robert Kraft, that situation. Kraft got fined, if I'm not mistaken. And then I see Tom Downey's talking about Dan Snyder as a new drinking buddy. Did anything ever happen with the Washington football team? I don't remember if anything ever happened with that whole situation. I mean, I understand our scandal is in that under that same umbrella, but Dan Snyder is an awful owner and sounds like person as well. So, and we understand that scandal was just as crazy, if not worse. So I wonder if anything ever happened with them in regards to the NFL or just Robert Kraft and the Patriots. Same thing. John Gruden. I understand John Gruden got fired, but did anything happen with the Washington football people? Doesn't sound like it. So NFL is satisfied. Michael Gallup update. Now, we've been talking about Gallup a lot, and we'll continue to talk about Gallup probably until end of March, whenever he gets signed by a team, possibly Dallas. A source came out, and when I say source, I have a feeling it's his agent, but whatever. Free agent wide receiver Michael Gallup is recovering well from knee surgery after tearing his ACL in early January, per source. The current expectation is he'll be 100% by August. We talked about August, September. Listen, I'm no doctor. I stayed at a Holiday Inn, and we'll talk about a potential doctor coming on the show here soon. But I have a hard time believing he'll be 100% by August. I get it. Modern medicine, these injuries aren't as long as they used to be, but he didn't get the surgery until, 2 weeks ago? We're talking about January, February surgery. So we're talking about a 7-month, 6-month recovery to 100% from a torn ACL. Unless he's Adrian Peterson, I find that hard to believe, Cowboys Nation. I find that hard to believe. So I think this may be something where his agent came out and said, hey, listen, my guy is good. And we saw, well, at least those who had looked at Michael Gallup's social media account, he talked about betting on himself, or he at least acknowledged that he will bet on himself because that's what Big Wit over at LA with the Rams, he said, bet on yourself. Don't allow others to this and that. So it sounds like Gallup is not going to take a hometown discount. That's my guess. So I feel like he's going to come above that $10 million range, possibly even more. And with his agent already starting his campaign, he could be looking at legitimate number 2 wide receiver money. And if that's the case, he's all the way out. I told you guys already, I'm kind of out as is, as long as you keep Amari Cooper. But if he's looking for legitimate wide receiver 2 bread, which is in that $14, $15 million range, yeah, that's not happening here in Dallas. And then finally, Dak Prescott back in the news yesterday, talked to Jory Epstein. And one of the things that came out of that sit down with Jory, who does phenomenal work for you, I believe USA Today, I could be wrong, you'll let me know. There was Pro Football Talk, you know how they go, Florio and those boys, came out with this headline that said, Dak wants to help with personnel and this and that. He never said that exactly. This is what Dak Prescott said about having input on decision making. Quote, I think that just depends on whether they ask me. I'm not going in and knocking on doors saying, hey, I want this done. I want that done. But I'm pretty sure that my opinion will be valued in certain decisions, as I hope. So with that being said, just plan on helping this team get better in every which way I can, end quote. To me, this is very normal custom behavior for most franchise quarterbacks who are with that franchise for the long haul and who the organization is behind. This shouldn't be headline news. In fact, I'm kind of glad he spoke up in that manner. You know, what did we talk about before with Dak Prescott? We want to see a little bit of in this system. I'm not saying this is that in the system, but this shows a little bit more of I'm going to go get it type of mentality as opposed to, you know, the teacher's pet, the coach's kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do everything you guys tell me to do. No, Dak, you're the man in Dallas. Speak up a little bit. Develop a little bit of arrogancy. You know, I don't think as a quarterback you need to be liked by everybody. You need to be respected by everybody. And I know they respect you in Dallas, regards on the field. But I need you to strike a little fear in that front office too. And if that means you got to say some things to keep Amari, then damn it, you do it. You do it. Because, see, I don't think this is a situation where he really wants Amari Cooper gone. Can't see that happening. So I'm okay with Dak having a little bit more input personally, especially when it comes to game planning. Again, they weren't talking about that. They were talking about personnel decisions, but I'm all for it. I'm all for Dak Prescott being more involved, Cowboys Nation. What about you guys? Professor O says Florio is the worst. Yeah, we're still waiting on that Des Bryant tape. Derek says he earned his money. Dallas just won't be able to afford him. Oh, you're talking about Michael Gallup. Primetime Phil says it's okay to speak up, but then again, you get a paycheck. They pay to be quarterback, not front office. I hear you, Primetime. I hear you, but most teams, when they have their franchise quarterback, that's the most important part of the team. And if you have that type of cachet, in my opinion, you should be able to speak up for what you want to help make your life easier, which will then, in essence, make the rest of the offense better and their life easier. So I hope Dak speaks up. I do. What's Jerry going to do? Cut him? Trade him? Ain't happening. So speak your piece, Dak. Also, some good news here. Quarterback guru John Beck sounds like he's back in the fold with Dak Prescott. Not a lot of people really know who John Beck is, but let's just say this. Most quarterbacks or most athletes have a guy outside of the organization that they train with, that they work with on mechanics, speaking quarterback wise, on timing, on this, on that. We saw all the videos of Jameis Winston, right? Everybody laughed, hee, ha, ha, key. Jameis actually played a little bit better in New Orleans this past year before getting hurt. It wasn't greatest, but he played better. Nonetheless, Dak Prescott's quarterback guru, John Beck, is the guy who showed him the Dak dance, as they say. Everybody had a fun about that a couple years ago, but the Dak dance came from John Beck, and he, in my opinion, was a part of his improvement over the last few years as a passer. We talk about John Kitna, who was the quarterback's coach. I think he was an important, integral part in helping Dak mentally, game to game, etc. when he was here. Beck helps him out physically in regards to mechanics and things like that. And I'll always quote this from Tony Romo. He said, you're never, ever, ever done getting better from a mechanical standpoint as a quarterback, from the small details of the quarterback. And you saw that with Tony. All the way into the end of his career, there was always small, little tiny things he was working on. And getting John Beck back is huge, I think, for Dak. And you might be saying, well, where did he go? So he was hired as a full-time employee by the New York Jets the same time that Dak injured his leg, and he lost Beck the rest of the way. Now, he did stay in touch with 3D QB, which is the organization John Beck is a part of with other guys, but it wasn't Beck personally. So he downplayed that loss, but I think obviously getting someone you trust and who's shown that they can get the best out of you back on your side, I think is a very huge plus for the quarterback, Cowboys Nation. So Dak Prescott getting John Beck back, I think, will be big heading into 2022. And hopefully you see him get off to that same start he had prior to his injury that he's downplaying as well. So that is today's roundup.
I won't make.
Well, I said I wasn't going to play that. So we got the Gallup injury, and then we just talked about Dak Prescott's injury with his calf muscle prior to or after losing John Beck. Prior to losing John Beck, about the same time frame, he had a calf muscle injury. So this upcoming offseason will be, I have the pleasure of speaking with a ton of doctors, well, a ton. The lead doctor from our presenting sponsor, the Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Institute. Next week, he'll be joining me, actually, and we'll talk about a few of the key players' injuries from last season. The Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Institute, they provide arthroscopic and robotic assisted orthopedic surgery, foot and ankle surgery, sports medicine, physical therapy, and a ton more. Their team of orthopedic specialists has offices in Fort Worth, Decatur, and Mansfield to provide state-of-the-art orthopedic care to the North Texas area. When it comes to medical care, you and your loved ones deserve the best possible experience. So schedule your hassle-free appointment today at osmifw.com. I'm actually looking forward to having their lead doctor here on the channel to talk about Gallup's injury. I think that's kind of crazy that he'll be 100% by August. So we'll ask a professional doctor. And then Ezekiel Elliott's injury. That's the one I'm really curious about because he continued to play on it, and we kept hearing about how it wouldn't get worse and things like that, but did it really get better? So that'll be an interesting twist we'll have here on the channel, and hopefully we continue to work with OSMI throughout the season because that would be a great source to have when the Dallas Cowboys have injuries. Great source to have. Yes, indeed, Fresh. They are definitely coming through in the clutch. We actually have a few more. Today's jam-packed with a couple of them, but I'm not going to go crazy with them because we're still here for the content, but we got to make sure we thank our sponsors, Texas Family Fitness, OSMI, and Freeman Mazda later on when we do the mailbag segment. All right, now we got that out the way. Let's go ahead, take a quick little break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Connor Williams, because Connor Williams is a hot topic now after the playoff loss and with the possibility of losing him and having a vacant spot at that guard position. I've got options. You guys got options, and we'll talk about those options.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions.
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
The curious case of Connor Williams. I couldn't think of a better title to say than Curious Case of Connor Williams this year. Strange 2021-2022 season. I don't necessarily think a strange career here in Dallas, though. Quick question, though. Was it a failure? Was Connor Williams a bust as a second-round pick? I think that's an interesting question, by the way. Kind of just came off the top of my head. Because if you look at statistically, starting-wise, you'd say no. But I wonder how many of you guys were happy with his tenure here in Dallas. Was he a failure? Was he a bust in Dallas? I'd imagine if you are drafted in the second round and you don't make it to a second contract, you could argue that. But damn it, when you start 51 games, that's tough. That's tough to say you were a bust. So let's kind of go over Connor Williams for a quick second here. PFF actually lists Connor Williams. You know PFF, you know. How you feel about PFF? They list Connor Williams as one of the most underrated guards in free agency, stating that he's been a top 15 guard the last 2 seasons according to their grading department. And we often talked about this year with Connor Williams. It's not that Connor Williams was the worst offensive lineman in the world and things like that. It was Connor Williams with the penalties. And as you can see right there, 17 total penalties in 2021. That is not a typo. 17. There are veteran players that don't have 17 total penalties in their career. But Connor Williams had 17 in one season. You guys are saying not a bust. No, not a bust. Don't think he ever should have been a guard, to be honest. That's one thing. Most of you guys are saying not a bust. Adrian says bust. No. Met expectations. No. That's why this is a weird, tricky question with Connor, because bust is strong. I don't think he was a bust. But depending how you grade that, right? If you say, well, a bust is someone that we don't re-sign because they weren't good enough to re-sign, you could say that. But again, he had 51 career starts and he wasn't abysmal in those. He actually was solid as if you take away these damn penalties. But even with the penalties included, PFF still graded Connor Williams as a top 10 offensive guard, believe it or not. Drafted in the 2018 second round of the draft. Remember, that was the draft. That was the year the Cowboys apparently could have traded that pick to the Seahawks for Earl Thomas. Now, hindsight 2020, that may have been a good no move because Earl Thomas kind of went crazy, went haywire, did a bunch of crazy things in Baltimore, got kicked off of A-team, then the off-field stuff. Nothing that would have been out of the ordinary in Dallas. So it's not like the Cowboys organization wouldn't have been able to handle that. But that was the pick that the Cowboys could have traded for ET. But they didn't do that. Connor was drafted, missed a few games, year 1, year 2 with the injury. Then the last 2 years, he played mostly. Now, he got benched. Remember, he got benched this year because of those penalties. Came back in, running game was still okay. It wasn't the greatest, it got better, but he still was Connor Williams, right? A solid guard that oftentimes got pushed into the quarterback's lap because if you just look at him, he doesn't even look like a guard. Most of Cowboys Nation agrees that Connor should have been a tackle in this league. I don't know what his weight is right now. I still think maybe he could look at that, but you're talking about 4 years worth of being a guard. Maybe he gets to a coach like Bill Callahan that can help him transition to tackle, but he's still very much so an undersized guard. Doesn't mean he can't operate in a certain scheme. I just think you're going to deal with a guy that's going to get overpowered from time to time. It's going to get overpowered. Anthony believes that he needs better coaching. Here's the thing. Now, let me try to think back here. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. Sometimes it is just you, right? Think about the coaching for a second. He came in 2017. I believe he was here for the Paul Alexander years, wasn't he? He was here for the Mark Colombo years. Obviously, he was here for Joe Philbin. And I feel like I'm missing one in between. I could be wrong, but I feel like I am. So he's had 3 or 4 different offensive line coaches. I'd just go out and say Connor is what he is. A solid guard that's undersized and will get pushed back into you. Coaching not going to get you strength. You know what I mean? Like, he has to get a lot stronger, and I don't know if that's his game. For me, feels more like a zone blocking guy because he does get to the second level pretty well. He is athletic. That's his go-to trait, his athleticism. Right? So one thing that shocked me about Connor Williams when I went and looked at his market value per Spotrac, which this is crazy to me, $13.2 million average annual salary. Excuse me, what? Listen, I think Connor could be solid for a team, but there's not a chance I'm paying $13.2 million. The problem, though, lies, Cowboys Nation. There are not many options in free agency that fit at least Dallas, that fit Catboy. So you might be saying, well, let's go to the Catboy free agent list. There isn't any. And here's why I don't really look towards free agency in this standpoint. The other positions we did that with, there really wasn't much in-house solutions as a veteran, either a backup or a potential guy that could fill in and start. I think Dallas has that already, Cowboys Nation. I think they have Connor McGovern, who, yes, I know he's in a bit of a hot water, but Connor McGovern, I think, is a fine backup. He had a shot to be the starter. He wasn't the greatest. He wasn't poor, but he wasn't worthy, I think, of keeping the starting position just yet. Now, maybe he'll get a chance this offseason to get stronger, get better as a player. But I think that Connor McGovern is your veteran backup guy. So you don't have to go to Catboy free agent list. If you look at the free agents and listen, Professor O, Stevie Mack, Fresh, all you guys can go look at the free agent list. It's not pretty. Guys like, I believe, Tomlinson from the 49ers are going to get paid. Tomlinson, a good veteran dude, played a lot over the last 5 years, actually. That hasn't missed a game. But he's going to get paid. Outside of him and some other veteran guys, there aren't too many dudes that I think are plug and play that I'd rather have over other options that I want to get to. So, but if there are guys that you believe in the free agency, on that free agency list, let me know. But I took a look and I was kind of out on free agency, in my opinion. I think if you're going to go with a veteran dude, you got that guy in house, knows your system, knows your offensive line mates, and to me, that's Connor McGovern. Professor O said, could Connor McGovern be this year's Terrence Steele? That would be awesome. This is how crazy that, if that were to happen, there's a chance you don't even do some of these options that I'm about to talk about here, which I don't know that I would. I think I would address it, Professor O. If he becomes Terrence Steele, that's great. But now he'll be on his last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. I believe this will be Connor McGovern's last year. So now you got a guy who, if he steps up in that manner, he's gone now, and you got to keep on replacing that. But yeah, that would be good for the depth for 2022. I don't know if he'd be Terrence Steele yet, though, because Terrence Steele showed his improvement in his second go-round. Connor McGovern kind of remained Connor McGovern, right? Like, I don't think we saw that second go-round leap. I don't want to say second year leap, but that second go-round leap like a Terrence Steele. That's a good question, though. Dave Thompson wants to try to sign Ryan Jensen. He's a center. Then draft Zion or Kenyon. Yeah. So let's talk about those options, okay? Let's talk about those potential options for one, the curious case of Connor McGovern. I think there's some good options here. And this is why I'd let Connor Williams. I let Connor go. If you're looking for early options, and for my draft people out there, you got obviously Zion Johnson. We talked about him here on the show with Foots the King, your guard/center out of Boston College. To me, my favorite of the early day one interior lineman. And I'm just talking about guards right now. Center, we know Tyler Linderbaum would be fantastic. But if we're talking about guard-wise, Zion Johnson would be my favorite of the three that I'm going to talk about here. I just think he's fluid, he's strong, and when he gets his hands on you, he reminds me of another 77, Tyron Smith. Then you got Kenyon Green, who I think was the early runaway favorite at guard. Again, another phenomenal option. Those two are my top two guys right now early in this draft process. I think Johnson and Green are easy day one plug-and-play starters that have potential to develop into some of the better guards in this league. There's a lot of debate on who's better, one or the other. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not that type of draft guy that's going to vehemently say this guy is better. I think these dudes are in the same tier. I'd be happy for either one. I have a favorite. Mine's is Zion Johnson. How would you guys feel about bringing in a Zion or bringing in a Kenyon Green from Texas A&M to be your plug and play day one starter? We did a quick little bio on Kenyon Green, actually. If you guys want to go check that out, one of you guys want to do me a favor and drop that link in the chat. It's a quick little bio on Kenyon Green, and then there's all 22 film if you want to see how he played at Texas A&M. Nasty dude. Dude is a very strong finisher and nasty dude. Need some of that on that interior. Let me see what you guys got to say. If it's hip, act up, you got Zion. Okay, so you're talking about. All right, so look, before we get to the big man in the middle, then you got Kennard out of Kentucky. Now, you want to talk about just a big, massive dude. I mean, 6'5", I believe, about 340 pounds. Just a massive man, a mountain of a man, and he is a guard. Now, they had that man at tackle. Apparently, he was injured at the Senior Bowl, but he ain't no right tackle to me. I would move him inside because he's a little bit, hate to use the word like lumber, but he does do that as a tackle. Now, as a guard, you can play in a phone booth in that way and get better with your choppy, your short area quickness. But I don't know that I want him kick stepping against the better edge rushers in the NFL. From what I saw, I don't think his feet are that great. But move him inside, let him move people. That's one thing I saw that he could do, was move. In fact, he was the first interior lineman that I actually watched. And immediately I'm like, yeah, move that man inside, and he could be a people mover. He could be a people mover. So I like Kennard too. And Kennard, Green, and Johnson are all guys that you can get on day one, end of the round, or possibly day two in regards to Kennard at the top of the round. But there's a high chance, Cowboys Nation, they don't draft an interior lineman early, because we're looking at about 4 positions, in my opinion, that are worthy at 24. I think this position, though, you'll be able to get, and if you include Linderbaum, one of these guys could fall to you. So I think guard or interior O-lineman has one of the highest chances of falling to you. And these are plug-and-play guys. Plug-and-play guys. Daryl says, I'm concerned about almost any rookie guard going up against the DT Dallas has to deal with. Some rookies can be good, man. Some rookies can be good. And you're talking about, in regards of Johnson, Green, and Kennard, you don't got to worry about strength. That's the thing about these guys. Whereas when you drafted Connor Williams, the very first thing you said about Connor Williams was, well, he got to get bigger. He 285-pound left guard in the NFL that had to go in right away. I think they did that man a disservice. You won't have to worry about that with Johnson, Green, and Kennard. And here's the other thing. If you can plug him next to a Tyron Smith if he's still on the team, and you got Zach Martin on that line, Connor Williams, you got guys that could help these guys be better players mentally and grasp things from the mental standpoint. From a physical standpoint, Daryl, I don't think you got to worry about Johnson, Kennard, and Green from a physical standpoint. They have it. You could also go with your mid-round options, right? Your Ed Ingrams from LSU, Jamari Sailors from Georgia, and then Cole Strange out of Chattanooga, where, Foots the King came on the show, and that's his pet cat. So there are mid-round options, and those options, Daryl, are the ones I would say, if you're going to take a mid-round guard, then let's go ahead and pivot to the middle. That man, La'el Collins, then should be your starting left guard. In fact, we talked about this before. I think moving La'el inside and putting Still at tackle is the start of revamping this offensive line, because it has to be revamped. And it doesn't mean it's going to take 1 year, but it needs to start its process into the future. But moving Lyle maybe is the ace in the hole that the Cowboys have. But I still feel like if that's the option, if they're going to do that, they need to go to him right now, and he needs to be starting that process of moving inside, because playing one position for 5 or 6 years on the right side and not playing a position for 5 or 6 years on the left side, I think takes extensive training moving forward. That was one of the arguments I had about moving Lyle inside. I said, if you're going to do it, you cannot play around with this musical chairs crap. You got to do it now, because he's got to get these kinks out. He's got to get muscle memory back. He's got to get that training of being a guard, because it's not as easy as everyone thinks, just going from a right side for 6 years to the left side and haven't done it that long. So if they're going to do it now. They didn't do it. They kept him at right tackle. I thought he was fine at right tackle once he got himself going. But you have, in my opinion, 2 starting right tackles. So in that scenario, does one of them have positional flex availability? Yes, Lyle does. So get that on the road if that's what you want to do. It could be their ace in the hole, though. They could be waiting on that for draft day. They could be saying, hey, if Green is there, that's our guy, and then we'll let Lyle and we'll let Terrence Steele compete at the right tackle position, because we all know you still need a swing tackle on this team if you're going to keep our guy Tyron Smith, right? You need that. Call in line 351-999-3787 if you guys want to call in, give your take on potential options at the left guard position. I think there are a lot of them. There's obviously bringing him back, which I wouldn't do at that price. I wouldn't even do at 10 mil. There's the draft position, and then there's obviously sliding Lyle inside to left guard. All those are viable options for the Dallas Cowboys. MD says Lyle's left-handed. Indeed he is. He talked about that. It should come to him a little more naturally being on the left. Yeah, that's why I want him to do it now. That way he has time to grasp it quicker, and then boom, he can just focus on that as opposed to focusing on the transition, because that's what you're going to focus on first. All right, I got to get this down pat. I got to get these movements, these muscle memories down pat, as opposed to my assignment. So that's where I'm at. Professor O says it's easier to find a guard than offensive tackle. Indeed, which is why I say if this is what you're going to do, then that tackle position has to be in the back of your head. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a veteran swing guy. That's what we do, right? They just brought in the cat from Buffalo, Nseki. Before it was Fleming, then it was Cam Irving. So they bring in Jeremy Parnell. They bring in these swing tackles for Tyron Smith. So there are domino effects to the move. There are domino effects. Hey, Jacob said, don't forget about Josh Ball. That's correct. The thing about Josh, though, is that I'm not really factoring him in yet because we just don't know, Jacob. He did nothing. He didn't play in the spring. He didn't play in the summer. He didn't play in preseason or the regular season. And we just don't know about Josh Ball just yet. So I would still bring in a veteran guy if you move Lyle inside. I would still bring in a veteran guy. Let him compete. When you signed Ty Nsekhe, there was no guarantee that Ty Nsekhe was going to stay, right? Like if Josh Ball beats out this year's Ty Nsekhe, cool. But you definitely need to bring in some help if that's what you're going to do. What's going on, Special K? Hey, listen, there's another Special K. If you go look at the community under the post I just made, I'm sitting here like, did he change his picture? It's real strange. So there's another Special K out there, bro. All right, we got a couple callers on the line. See what you guys got to say about this before we get into the mailbag segment. What's up, 562?
Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Who this?
This is Tony, man. Tony Bryce.
Tony Bryce. What's going on, Tony?
Yesterday. I was at work yesterday when I called.
Oh.
I was going to call yesterday.
Okay. What's up, Tony? What you got for us?
Hey, man, so you talking about the offensive line still. And what about, do you think it's time to, maybe like a third or fourth round pick, get another running back in there, man. So it's like, you know, I mean, I don't, maybe, you know, it could be, you know, maybe not what he was, but useful this year. But I still think we need to, like, get another, like solid back, you know, like similar to Zeke style. Not like a Tony Pollard, but more like 4 yards and a pile of dust type of guy.
Talking about like
a little bit of wiggle.
Talking about a power back.
I'm sorry? No.
Yeah.
Not really. I would say a power back, but just somebody like Zeke was, you know, like.
Well, getting somebody like Zeke was when Zeke was at his peak. You're talking about an elite running back. So now you're allocating high resources for that, right? So I don't think you need to get somebody like Zeke was. I think what we need to do is realize that you don't need an Ezekiel Elliott. And when I say that, I don't mean to disrespect Zeke, but you don't need a guy that is a workhorse, elite top back. You don't. If you have a running back by committee in the sense of, and that's not a negative thing, in the sense of a 1-2 punch, then what you do is you get the opposite of what your other back is. And that's why I say a downhill power back. I wouldn't mind that.
No, I mean like the DeMarco Murray, like a third round pick, right? DeMarco Murray was a third round pick. Somebody like in third, fourth round, like that can maybe possibly become the number one back. You know, that's kind of what I was thinking more than power back.
Okay, yeah. Let me answer that for you here off air because it's kind of hard to hear you in the background. But appreciate you calling, Bryce.
Back from TCU. He should be back this year, right?
He had a neck injury. I'm not sure if he's still going to play or not with his career.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'll listen, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. So here's the thing about that. If you're going to take a back, take the back way later. Take it day 3 or sign an undrafted free agent or get a veteran guy. I don't know that I'm wasting a pick on a back in the top 3 rounds this year because Zeke is going to be here. And we got a question later on in the mailbag segment that we'll talk about a little bit more about Zeke. But Zeke's going to be here. Tony Pollard's here. And with running backs, I don't think they need to be, we got to get acclimated to the system. We got to know the playbook. They're plug and play. If it's one thing that I've learned over the last 10 years, these damn running backs are plug and play. So, sure, you can draft one in round 5 might even be 5, 6, 7, or undrafted, and if you draft them, you have them for 4 years. But I think Zeke's going to be here. Tony Pollard's going to be here. Go get you a Corey Clement, and now let's just rock. And then you address that running back position next year because then you have that guy for 4 years of 4-year usage as opposed to, or guys, because, again, we'll talk about it later, but there's a potential. You could be looking at a different running back room. So that's where I'm at with it. Don't draft a running back early. If you want to draft one, draft it late. But I'm looking at running it back with the 2 guys you got because you're not doing anything with Zeke. And TP is a really damn good back. We talked about TP a lot on this channel. But Zeke, if Zeke just Zeke is unique because he's not just a downhill runner. He has some vision to him. He can have some wiggle when he's healthy. The problem is, as I've been saying for a while, I don't see his health getting better as he gets older and the more usage he has. So I think, and I know that people might get upset, but he is technically on the downturn of his career because that's how running back lifespans go. Young dude, he's only like 26, 27. But when you have the most carries in the NFL over that time period since you've been in the league, that is going to add a couple years to your body. And we've seen it over the last 2 years. I don't think it's an accident that he's been banged up over the last 2 years. And he's probably going to get banged up again because it's that kind of position. That's why I would definitely split those reps between him and Tony Pollard moving forward. So if Zeke is not in tow anymore, get me a power downhill back. We look down the line, there's a possibility you don't even have TP coming back though. And that's frustrating because I don't think they've taken advantage of him just yet. They haven't taken advantage of him just yet. Jedi said, we need to be real. Zeke is done. I struggle saying done, Jedi Shogun, because he was really good the first 6 or 7 games before he got hurt. I think he can still be really good and really productive, but I don't know that he'll remain. And I'm not trying to bank on him not being healthy. It's just that history shows running backs don't get healthier the older they get. Two, 1, 4. What's up?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. This is Dalton.
Andy Dalton? Dalton Schultz?
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just messing.
I should have bought an Andy Dalton jersey. Is what I should have done when he was here.
Really?
No, I should have. I didn't.
Oh, because of your name on the back. Yeah. Definitely should have.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to hit you with two different things.
Sure.
So first, I just wanted to say that Kenyon Green is definitely my pet cat
Okay.
this draft season because I just graduated from A&M last year.
Oh,
So
wow. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I just got to see every one of Kenyon Green's home games, and obviously I watched all the away games on TV. And he's the real deal for sure. There's two things that I wanted to talk about that like they probably won't say on like a draft profile.
Mm-hmm.
And the first is that I think he plays up to his competition because, it's one thing if he just bullies all the cupcake teams that we played at A&M. But, I mean, if you go watch his Alabama tape, I mean, that was his best game last year was against, premium pass rushers. And that was a tackle, and we want him to play guard.
That's
So
the other thing about Kenyon Green. He got some versatility to him.
Yeah, and then the other thing is the way that he does his stance, I guess I would say. He doesn't really put his hand down and kind of lean over it, he just kind of squats. And I think that gives him a lot more power when he explodes off the stance rather than just kind of falling forward. He just explodes up.
Yeah, that's one thing.
You'll see it bulldoze people.
That's one thing we got on Lyle Collins about, right? Was the fact that he could, when he got tired or when he was out of shape at the beginning of this season, he was doing a lot of leaning. But once he kind of got it together, you saw less of that as the game wore on.
Yeah, so, for the people who aren't too sure about Kenyon Green, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that I think he's going to be really, really good and definitely worth the 24th pick.
I agree with you, man. I'd be very happy if we selected Green at 24.
Yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about is something that Brian Broaddus has kind of been talking about recently, and that's if you're going to move on from Cooper to try to package him with our first-round pick to move up.
Yeah, I heard him talking about that. Yeah.
If we were to do that, I wanted to see what you thought about if we were to, say, trade up with Baltimore to 14 or maybe the Jets to 10, trying to get one of those top tackles like Ekwonu or Cross, and then moving Collins to left guard and keeping Terrence Steele as the swing.
I have a hard time believing that Cross maybe that they'll fall all the way to 10. Like Evan Neal could go 1, and then you got the cat from is it Kwanu? I think he can go before 10, and then if you get a mini run early on offensive tackles, I think somebody can grab Cross. Now obviously trades can happen and things like that, but I'm gonna be real with you. If we can trade up to 10, I'm trading up for one guy only. Kyle Hamilton. That is my guy, Dalton. I love safety. We never get that stud guy in the draft. I am infatuated with this man. I understand we're not going to get him, but if he's like falling into that 8 range for whatever reason, and you want to trade up in this scenario you're talking about, go get me this stud. I think he's going to be a superstar.
Oh, listen, I would not hate that. I mean, the only criteria I would have if we moved up is that we got to get a freaking stud.
You got to get a star. You cannot move up and get a Mo Claiborne.
So, if those tackles got wiped out, you could maybe just take the top receiver to replace Cooper. I would think that all the receivers are still there.
That pissed me off.
I don't really want that.
That pissed me off, Dalton. Why am I trading my receiver, then trading up to get a receiver? What are we doing? You know what I mean? Why are you trading capital?
That is something Stephen Jones would do, though. You know that.
You can't put nothing past him. Stephen.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I've been hearing that Brian Broaddus is really, like every time I watch the Draft Show podcast, he brings that up. If we're going to move on from Cooper to try to move up, and I don't want to get rid of Cooper, but if we do, I'd rather do it that way than just cut him.
Absolutely, and he's right. if you're going to move on from Amari, you don't do it with a flat out cut. That would be idiotic. You try to trade for him and get the best that you can get. And in his scenario, he's talking about moving up.
Yeah, and I don't think that Brian Broaddus is really thinking about the fact that teams know that if we don't trade him, we're just going to cut him, and that drives his value down. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's all I want to say.
All right, brother. Appreciate your call, dog.
Okay. Yeah, stay real.
Thanks, brother. Dalton said something there at the end that kind of has me just shaking my head, man. He said if teams know that you're going to cut him, he loses his trade value. Why is it only like that for Dallas in that? I'm not saying it's only, but other teams trade players and get assets back. We talked about this a while ago. And when Dallas has to be better at in the offseason. They draft phenomenally, but they're not good in the trade department. They're not good in the free agent department. When I say trade department, I don't always mean trading to get someone. That helps you out the most. But if you want to unload a contract or unload a player, they don't trade away guys and get great assets in return like other teams do. The Jacksonville Jaguars, doesn't mean that you're going to succeed, but they got great returns, right? The Rams, Lions with the returns that they got. Philly used to do this all the time. They benefited so much from Donovan McNabb's injuries later on in his career that the Kevin Cobbs and all these guys would get in, play a few good games, and then he'd trade their backup quarterback for a second-round pick. If you can't trade an Amari Cooper, you are terrible at your job. I don't think that's an overreaction, Cowboys Nation. I should be able to flip Amari Cooper. He's 27 years old. He's a damn good receiver. He fights through his injuries. What are we doing? It's not like he misses a ton of games. We're not talking about trading Antonio Bryant. Talking about trading Amari Cooper. All right, listen, here's what we'll do. We'll get one more. We'll get Jacob, and then, the phone lines are still open. We'll get Jacob, and then we'll transition into our mailbag segment, and I'll hop back into the phone line. What's up, Jacob?
What's up, Sky, man? It's been a while.
It has, brother. How are you?
Hey, man, real quick, I was going to go back to that offensive line situation. So I think if Green or Zion Johnson is not available to you at 24, I think automatically you move Lyle to guard and you start Terrence Steele. I think
I hear you.
Because with Connor, we know what we got in Connor McGovern at each side on the left and the right guard, right? And I know this is not a sexy name, but we also got Matt Farniok, who could come in and play center or guard.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more of Matt Fournier. Is it Fournier? He had a phenomenal rep against the Eagles, and he remained on the team all year with all the movement. He never got cut, so I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, and then and you just talked about it earlier in the show where the guard list at free agency is not good at all. There's some decent name, but it's going to come at a price tag. Now, if you jump over to the tackles, there's some good, decent swing tackles who could play both sides of the field that you could get for a cheap. You know what I mean?
I actually trust them to get that, Jacob. I trust them to get a swing tackle more than I do them for most other positions in the free agency.
Yeah, that's why I would want LC at guard because, for one, remember, we play Aaron Donald this coming year. We need that veteran experience strength up in the middle, and
brother,
we need somebody who's going to be able to block him.
Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you something, Jacob. It don't goddamn matter who the hell is at guard against Aaron Donald. It don't matter.
I know, but I
thought that was hilarious this year when people were like, man, we got to put so-and-so here because when we get Aaron Donald will toss anybody. Now, but I hear what you're saying. You want to get a stronger guy in the middle. But I'm just telling you right now, let's not even use Aaron Donald as a threshold, okay? Because he's going to throw everybody around.
Yeah, and I don't know. And there's another guy, what's his name? Cole Strange. I think if we get him at least in the second round, that's another, I guess, interior guy who you could probably trust. Again, his college film looks great, but we got to see what he could do in the NFL. And don't forget, we got bigger needs maybe receiver, depending what happens with Cooper, linebacker. We got to figure out what we got to do if we cannot get one of these guys at offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you don't get one of the guys we were talking about in day one, depending how that board falls, man, I might be with you. Just move Lyle inside and let's boogie and try to get somebody later in the draft to develop. Because day two, that means you're likely taking what? A defensive tackle or a offensive, a linebacker maybe in the first round. I'm talking about first round. Meaning in that second round, you're probably going to address your second most important need as opposed to the offensive guard. But yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah. So that's all I really got to say, man. And I just want to keep Dak up and healthy. I don't want him to have that nervousness throwing that football. That's what makes stupid plays happen. So hopefully we could get it right.
I hear you, bro.
All right, Scott. Well, take it easy, man. I'm here.
Appreciate you, Jacob. AD's a problem. All right, let's see what we're going to do. We're going to jump into this mailbag segment here. Let me make sure I got this all teed up. Yeah, we're good. I had to make sure I got that all teed up. Come on back. And once we come out of that, and again, in the mailbag segment, you guys can also answer the questions with your boy. And then obviously call in 351-999-3787. Freeman Mazda mailbag segment coming right up. This video is brought to you by Freeman Mazda of Irving, Texas. If you're searching for a new, used, or Mazda certified pre-owned vehicle in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, why not shop at Freeman Mazda? Freeman Mazda of Irving, Texas has been a family-owned and operated business for over 60 years. They have new inventory arriving daily, especially for the new 2021 and 2022 Mazda CX-5. So stop by Freeman Mazda in Irving, Texas today, or visit freemanmazda.net. All right, this is the Freeman Mazda mailbag segment. First up on the docket, a 2-for-1er. And the reason why I put these together, you'll see. Them KJs and Carlos Holloway. Them KJ says, "Sup, Skywalker, say we keep Coop," and we should. We let Gallup and Wilson go. How do you feel about who else we have in the wide receiver room? And the reason why I combined that with Carlos's question, he says, would you like to see Simi have a bigger role next season? Well, who's left in that wide receiver room? Simi Fehoko, CD Lamb, and Amari Cooper. Those will be your guys. How do I feel about the rest of the depth? I wouldn't say I feel great. I feel like you still need to address the position. Y'all know me. I've been talking about Sky Moore forever, but even if it's not Sky Moore, maybe somebody else to fill that slot role, or if you want to move him to the X position, move that person to the X position. Simi, it's got to show it to me. Now, Simi has more tape than a Josh Ball. He played in the preseason, so I can actually go and evaluate Simi Fehoko and say, hey, this is where he needs to be better from last year to this year, right? He needs to be on the. Now, again, he played with some bad quarterbacks too. He didn't play with Dak Prescott, so we don't know how it'd be if Simi was playing with Dak. But I was one that was happy with the Simi Fehoko pick. Man, it's a 5th-round pick. What are you? You're not really losing much there. He has potential. 6'4", big guy, runs fast. I thought he had decent hands, even though he was dropping balls in camp. Big play type of guy. I would like to see him get an opportunity to be in that top 4 next year, depending what they do. If we're talking about right now in his scenario, keep Cooper, you let Gallup and Wilson go. How do I feel? I feel like you need to add to the room, but in regards to Simi Fehoko's role, I can't say I want to see him have a bigger role. I want to see him earn that first. Y'all. Jay says Coop produces even when he's hurt. Yeah, but that's if you let him stretch the field. He's not going to eat off whack, drag, and comeback routes with only 4 to 5 targets a game. Ooh, you ain't lying about that. Who does eat off of freaking comeback routes all game? He even said it in the one game. Let's not run this route against this corner. What are we doing? That was under Scott Linehan, though. So, yeah, that's how I feel about the Simi Fehoko wide receiver room. Jason Reese 26 on Instagram says, with cap space being an issue this offseason, who are some must-sign players coming into next season? I think there's 2, right? I guess you can go other guys, but he's talking about must-sign. I don't know how it's not J-Ron Curse and Randy Gregory, right? I know some people have some thoughts on a Randy Gregory, but if there were must-sign players, aren't Gregory and Kirsch your top two guys, Cowboys Nation? Some might say Dalton Schultz. I say he's a product of his environment. He's not the feature of the system. Fresh says Kirsch. Stephen White says anger. Yeah, you know, I don't really look at anger in this because I feel like you should be able to sign anger to a moderate contract. But if he's looking to be highest paid punter and this is something that's going to affect your cap in a moderate way, or sorry, on a high end way, I'm okay. I'm not effectively going to get rid of a more important position or depth player for my punter. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm disrespecting the special teams a little bit here, but for real, I'm not spending a whole bunch of money on a punter, man. But if he wants to sign for a decent contract, sure. Will said, Scott, you're forgetting about Malik Turner. I'd rather have him back. That's the thing. I'm just going off of what KJ said. Coop, Lamb, Simi Fehoko are the only guys on your roster right now, if I'm not mistaken. Malik Turner, we talked about him, was it last week, y'all? 2 weeks ago when we featured the Cedric Wilson dilemma. He was one of the Catboy free agents. Yeah, I would welcome Malik Turner. I'd welcome back. Jay Bryant said, put some years on Coop's contract and reduce the number, but give him some more money. Yep, we talked about that yesterday, Jay Bryant. I would actually extend Amari Cooper and lessen the cap hit over the next few years. Cold Jelly, a.k.a. CJ from Facebook. Will there be any changes with the cornerback room? Will Boss Man replace Jordan Lewis? The cornerback room is one of the most fascinating rooms heading into this offseason and into really the 2022 season. And I'll get to the last question later after I get this phone call. But do I see any changes to the cornerback room? I don't. Unless a Stingley or a Sauce falls to you in round one. But I don't even have cornerback in my top 4 needs in the draft right now. And maybe you go sign a depth veteran guy for your roster to have as many corners as possible. But you're looking at Boss Man Fat and Trayvon Diggs, I think, as your future out there. Do I think there could be a change? Maybe a change in that manner, but a change with other guys coming in. I mean, I don't know that I'd put a whole bunch of resources at that position. I think you got a really solid room. Really solid room. We saw AB take that step forward. He showed you he can be reliable too if need be. But I think that Boss Man is going to leap him this year. And he better. If he doesn't leap him this year, now we're questioning Boss Man. But he'll have a year of NFL football under him. He'll have 2 off seasons now. And he has the talent, right? He has the traits. He just lacked the experience at the position. It's kind of like one of those, one of the athletes who utilizes their athleticism to get where they got, but eventually the athleticism may wear off and you got to get better mentally. I think he still is going to have his athleticism for a long time, but he needs to get the experience to get better mentally at the game. That's one of the things that Dan Quinn talked about early in the season. He said, yeah, we're working on him in the film room, but I'm proud of the progress he's made. Dan Quinn likes him, so I think he'll be the guy. I think he'll be the guy next year, opposite of not DeMarcus, opposite of a Trayvon Diggs. If he's not, we'll see off of preseason and training camp if it's a worry for Boss Man Fat or if it's a positive indictment on Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown is not a free agent. Anthony Brown is under contract in his last year, Dave. The whole cornerback room, AB, J. Lou, Diggs, and who am I missing? AB. I already said AB. They're all under contract for at least this year with Boss Man, Jordan Lewis, and Trayvon Diggs multiple years. Now, if you want to bring in a veteran or bring in a young guy to push AB for next year and Boss Man for next year, cool. But I don't think I'm good with doing that in the first 2 days of the draft. All right, man, we got Vicente on the phone. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Sky?
How you doing, man?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you loud and clear.
Sorry. Yeah, I was calling. I was actually thinking about our center. If you look at the tape, that's the thing that really killed it. That I think that we need to take care of the center, not the guard. I know the guard will be gone, but we could move Lyle to guard because I think he lost a step in the tackle. Just put Steele and move Connor to the guard, and let's go. You know.
Yeah, but see that's why I said, Vicente, I think the revamp starts at guard because one way or another, you have to make a decision at that spot because there is no one there. It's vacant. Whereas with the center position, that position's technically not vacant, although you could look for an upgrade, but it's not vacant. And maybe Lyle helps the center position, right? So, or maybe Zion helps the center position. But I think it starts at guard, but you're right. I'm also looking for competition for that center position.
Yeah, that's the thing I was thinking because if you like Botch, he put a lot of tape on display that our center was the one that was missing a lot of assignments. So and Connor had to make up for it. Probably if you move Lyle to it, he'll help cover that situation going on. But I think we should look at center better than guard because I believe that Lyle's gonna stay at guard because I don't think he's gonna beat out Steele no more. I don't think he's gonna beat him out because I think he lost a step with that hip injury he had, and I think it's gonna go that way. But other than that, I don't want to let go of Cooper. We already had a season like that without Cooper, and it sucked. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think they should extend them and let's go. You know, let's go. Let's just do it.
Yeah, that's the easiest route. If Catboy is worried about money, extend him. I mean, we're not talking about a 33-year-old guy you got to extend. We're talking about a guy in his prime, still youthful, reliable, and he doesn't cause any waves in the media. Does the right things. Just extend him if you want to take the cap hit down. And for those that are worried about cap, there's articles out there that show you Dallas can create somewhere around like $60 million in cap. Now that's if they do all the restructures, but there's enough money to go around if they do the right things cap-wise.
Yeah, and I truly believe that with the Rams winning this Super Bowl like the way they did, I think that's going to open the door for Jerry to go in there and push that he wants to go into free agency or trade during the midseason. If they need a player or something, that's going to help him out. He's gonna push for that. Watch. I think they're going to make something happen during the midseason, and it's going to show that's going to – I think that's going to make them get to the at least to the conference. I think that's what's going to help them out. That
I ain't holding my breath.
The trade they're going to make.
I ain't holding my breath with that, bro. If they make a big trade like that, we talked about this yesterday, it'd be more because of what happened with their PR guy, and they need to make a move to get the Cowboys Nation back on their side and to get this stench out of the air. But I ain't holding my breath in regards to them doing it because they see the rest of the league doing it, because the Rams aren't the only team to make trades or only team to make significant free agent signings. These things have been happening for the last decade plus from all the Super Bowl champions. They've all signed quality free agents or made certain trades at some point in their tenure as a general manager on that team in the Super Bowl run. So I ain't holding my breath, bro.
Kind of hard to say, right, with Jerry, but
no, with Steven. Let's say Steven.
Steven is the one that's making that hard on Jerry, you know. But it is what it is. Well, I hope we don't lose Coop. That's my main thing.
Yeah.
We don't lose Coop, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sky.
All right, bro.
Have a nice
Appreciate
day.
you as always, Vicente. Have a good day, brother. Have a good weekend. Jedi said, I'm tired of the cap worries. The Joneses just need to go all in and let's try and get one. The conservative approach hasn't worked with being cheap and loving our own too much. Period. Exclamation point. Clue bomb. People always say, and I love my guy Jeff. JC, well, if you kick the can down the road, you're gonna have to. Who cares? What is the worst that can happen? You can't hurt me any more than I've been hurt for 27 years. You know. And then over the last 10 or so, 15 years, whatever, how long it's been, that Stevens really implemented this version of running the Cowboys. Because believe it or not, there have been two different versions of running Dallas. One version was the Jerry go-get-it mentality. It wasn't always like the Rams. But right around that free agency period, when it first started, our salary cap period, when it first started, Jerry was like, yeah, I'll spend all the bread. I'll do what I got to do. But when the salary cap period started to gain some momentum and people figured it out, he got left behind in the dust. And he thought he could just continue to sign the Jay Ratliffs, the Marion Barbers, the Ken Hamlins, the a whole bunch of ridiculous contracts of guys he should not have been doing that too. It came back to bite him in the butt. And I think that's right when Steven was like, all right, we got to have a certain standard. And it was cool at first, but Steven went way too left with it, in my opinion. And he's now getting left behind in the dust. And other teams are passing up this organization left and right for the last 15 or so years. So they got to figure out how to operate within this salary cap era, because they have not. That's just facts. They have not been able to do it. All right, last question, then I'll get to you 470 from the Freeman Mazda Mailbag segment. Michael Witten. He says, what do we truly think will happen to Zeke? Maybe not this year, but years to come. I don't think it's a reach that his contract and his current state with our team is largely due to his locker room presence and great personality that the team, his teammates like. Injured or not, he hasn't been a high-paid performing running back. A lot to unpack there. Here's the thing about Ezekiel Elliott. A lot of players are under pressure right now. Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, DeMarcus Lawrence, these guys are being talked about the most. I said this before. The one guy that no one's want to talk about, that wants to talk about pressure, is Ezekiel Elliott. He may be under the most pressure next year because you can't get out of his contract now, but you can legitimately get out of his contract next year if you want to, Cowboys Nation. The best year, obviously, is 2025, but 2024 gets better, but 2023, which is next season, off season, if Zeke has another injury-prone year, plays injured again, and his production dips, I have a hard time believing he'll be back. And here's what I mean. His dead cap hit in 2023 is $11.8 million. If you post June 1st release him, you save $10.9 million on the cap, and you split the dead cap of $5 and $6 million over the following 2 years. We've seen Dallas do this. We've seen it with D. Ware. I think we've seen it with Jalen, right? His cap, it wasn't as bad, but we've seen it with Dez. So what do we truly think will happen? I think if Ezekiel Elliott doesn't have a completely healthy, or for the most part, year where he's Zeke, feed me, you'll see him gone. You'll see him gone. Whether you love him or not, I don't think you go into the following year with 3 straight years of him being injured and hampered and up and down. Got to move on. He says, I don't think it's a reach that his contract and current state with our team is largely due to his locker room presence and his great personality. I mean, at one point in time, he was the heart and soul of this team. Right? Like the offense ran through Ezekiel Elliott for the first about 3 years of this team. And that was great. But let's not act like we can't, bring in another good running back. I just watched a couple running backs that aren't Ezekiel Elliott in the final 4 games participate. I watched a running back in San Fran, 6th-round pick. If he didn't get hurt, he'd easily have 1,300 yards. He almost had 1,000 in like 12 games, 11 games, or whatever it was. So I think that's what you'll see with Ezekiel Elliott. Trade? I don't know, man. I can't see him being traded. I would not trade for Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, you're going to cut him. He's a running back. He's going to be, 28 years old with ridiculous amount of touches. I'm not trading for a running back like that. Unless he just has if he has a DeMarco Murray type year and Dallas still doesn't want to keep him for whatever reason, yeah, then you try to trade him. But I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think we're that team anymore. So that's how I see it. All right, we got my guy B on the horn. What's up, B?
What's good with you, G?
I'm good, man. How you?
Oh man, I'm all right, man. Ain't tapped in a minute. Just figured I'd hit you up for a little bit, man. I just been listening. Man, I think everything just this off season, man. Whatever they do, they got to get that O-line situation fixed, man. Because we can sit here and talk about all the players we want to bring back,
all the skilled players,
not to go, all this stuff, man. But the one thing that we know is that the quarterback is a different player when they're good up front, when he's confident in what's in front of him, and then they're running the football.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't have this stat of, what are they, 32-0 when you run for 100 yards.
120. I think it's 125.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Just you gotta get your horses back. You don't want to be late. It's one thing Rodgers used to always say. You don't want to be behind an old offensive line, like getting that straight. When you got to rebuild an entire offensive line when it gets old, you put so much pressure on your team. You want to get in front of that. And I hope this is the year that they start.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Collins, man. I'm not so down on Collins playing tackle.
I'm not either.
But I wouldn't be opposed to him moving the guard. But if you get an upgrade at guard, then
you let him in.
To me,
you let him in and still battle it out, and now you got depth.
Yeah, exactly. And if he does beat him out, I'm not going to sit here and just let him sit out there. Then I'm going to move his behind the guard. You know what I'm saying? And I think what they do, I think you got to get Steele ready to play left tackle. That's just mine.
That is something that I've been thinking about too, B. Still, we talk about potential. I said this earlier about Tyron Smith. I talked about, rip the Band-Aid off this line. I think it starts with Tyron because I don't think he's ever going to play 14, 15, 16, 17 games again. Listen, I'm not opposed to keeping him. I'm just saying if you are ready to rip this Band-Aid off, I think it starts there. We talked about potential replacements. Still got better at left tackle. Like, the more he played over there, he did get better. Is he your left tackle of the future? I don't know about that. But I'm just saying, if you need to throw in a guy, Still could play left tackle, at least in the pinch. I know that for a fact. As your cornerstone dude, maybe we got to see a little bit more.
Maybe you got to see a little bit more. But you know what, man? The thing, what I liked about Steele is that as a rookie, he didn't play so well, right?
Mm.
This year, he got in the weight room, and you can see on the field he got better. What is another year in the weight room and an off-season going to do? You see what I'm saying? So for me, he has the athletic ability to play left tackle. Get his butt ready to play left tackle for him to be your swing tackle. If Lyle beats him out, keep Lyle at right guard, right tackle, and you gotta have to invest in your offensive line. Because what I feel like they're going to do is I feel like they're going to try to take a shortcut and say, oh, we're just going to move Lyle to guard, move Steele to tackle, and then we'll make our center better that way, and then we'll put our resources and our draft capital in other places. Don't be lazy. Fix it.
Yeah,
and put the resources into fixing it.
So when you say resources, B, you're talking about draft capital, correct?
I'm talking draft capital. Yeah. If your guy Kenyon Green is there and he's your guy, take him. You know what I'm saying? Don't be sitting here telling me, oh, we made the decision already before camp. We're just going to move Lyle to guard.
If Green
you need all.
Yeah, if Green is there, man, he has versatility too that we're not talking about much. He can be a swing guy. If you get Green, now Green is your left guard. Or hell, if you get Zion could battle for the center too. But if you get Green is your left guard. You have a battle out there at right tackle. Let's say Steele wins the right tackle position, right? Let's say he wins it. And if Tyron goes down, now you can slide Green out there at left tackle and then put Lyle at left guard, or you can trade Lyle. You can do whatever you want. But nonetheless, I think you bring in a Zion, you bring in a Green, anybody like that, you allow your offensive line to have quality depth. Because right now, if they're losing Connor Williams, and depending on what you do if you move Lyle to guard, I think you take a hit at depth.
Right. Yeah, I'm not moving Lyle, me personally. I'm leaving him there, and Steele is my swing guy. And I'm going to go draft, man. But you know what? But they also have to figure out what are they going to do with this. I thought they was going to get rid of Joe Philbin. I just knew he was going. And, I've been on Philbin all year.
It did feel like he was going to be the scapegoat.
And I felt like you said something yesterday that probably was like right on the money. And you said something about Philbin is just an offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. But he's not a run game coordinator.
He ain't.
He's not a guy that helps marry the offense, the passing game with the running game. And that is something that we need, man. But I'm just not into I think they have too much value in their running games. Too much value. They need to dial it back. Their running game was best when they were just running that outside zone. That outside zone scheme that you just see that's just flying around the league. We have zone plays, but it's just too much volume in your running game. And when you have so much volume in your running game, man, I don't like it as a player.
I think when we talk about marrying the running game system or whatever to it, the thing we forget, Philbin was an offensive coordinator. I don't think Philbin and Mike McCarthy are pretty much allowed to marry anything to Kellen Moore's system. Now, I'm just thinking out loud, B. But I don't even know if it's Philbin or Kellen. I'm sorry, Philbin or Mike McCarthy. I think it's a Kellen thing. I think Kellen has, what is it called, carte blanche? Is that what they call it? Where he has all say on how this system is run. And you heard what Mike McCarthy said. Hey, whoever calls it installs it. So I don't think Philbin or McCarthy have any I'm just saying any say at all in how this running games system goes. Therefore, if that's the case, unfortunately, then you need to go to Kellen and say, Kellen, who can you bring in here on the offensive line or whoever the hell you want to, whatever you want to call them, that can help you marry the passing game with a better running game system. Get somebody Kelly can trust at least.
Kellen, do you mean it's Jerry when you say it's Kellen?
Well, yeah, we go higher. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Jerry's not allowing them to because Kellen has full say in his system. But I would imagine if Kellen wants to look smarter and look better, go get people that can help you do that. Let's be real.
I don't know.
Kellen's 34. Joe Philbin like 68, bruh. Those dudes ain't they're not spending hours on end talking to each other, texting and trying to figure these things out. They're probably working at the Star. They go home and they go home. You know what I mean? You need to get somebody, that Kellen can work with if he's going to be here. If not, you're looking at probably a similar run game that could potentially be thwarted if he goes away from what worked. And like you said, outside zone. I thought traps were working. I thought sweeps were working. He stopped doing that though.
Anything A-gap, I was not a fan of. I hated A-gap runs. It was just like a waste of a down. I don't think too many of them work. But when you say Joe Philbin was the offensive coordinator, was he the guy calling? Mike McCarthy was the guy calling plays in Green Bay, right?
Mike McCarthy called plays in Green Bay, but Joe did it in Miami.
Oh, okay. So, because that's where he got hired for when they won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I would imagine Joe probably had way more pull when he was the offensive coordinator in name under Mike, right? I feel like Joe and Mike were probably together helping install what was happening. I have a hard time believing Kellen and Joe are doing that, and I'm just speculating, y'all. I could be dead ass wrong,
right.
But I'm just speculating.
Yeah, and the last thing, man, is you know how I feel about Curse, man. I feel like if there's going to be two guys you got to find a way to bring back, it's Curse and Randy. And I think they're going to do everything they can to bring back Randy. But I think Curse needs to be in that same conversation, man, because we finally got somebody at the safety position, and it doesn't seem at first glance that Curse is going to be in high demand, but you never know. All it takes is one other team. All it takes is one other team to like you, and now you got a bidding war, man. And
I got
and
this
hopefully
feeling,
they
bro.
can add a. What's up?
I got this feeling that Steven or Jerry or somebody might get the Ken Hamlin effect and get a little scared, man. And I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I am. I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I am because Ken Hamlin this is literally almost identical. Almost identical situation. Ken Hamlin was a okay player. Came to Dallas in 2007. We had 13 Pro Bowlers. He was one of them. Had a career year. Was fantastic. Came in on a 1-year deal, and Dallas signed him to a big contract after that, and he was never the same.
I remember when I brought it up. I brought that up a couple weeks ago, man. Yeah, they signed him to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. He got the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And that next year they signed him to a 5-year, $37.5 million deal. Trust me, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got it's a feeling that Steven and Jerry might say, well, yeah, Curse played good, but remember Ken Hamlin? And part of me is trying to say, forget that Ken Hamlin. He's important. And I do think Curse is important to this team. And I'm almost willing to take the chance at the safety position because this team has shown, this organization has shown that they cannot evaluate that position well. And if you got a good guy in town, then sign him up.
But I don't think it's going to take him $10 million. I don't think it's going to take $10 million to keep him.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the market value on him yet. I don't think he's a high priced guy, like a top 3 to 5 paid safety in the league at all. But remember, we're not negotiating against the rest of the league. Steven is negotiating against Steven. He has a price that he sets on these guys, and he's not going above it. So I worry even if he costs you $9 million, $8 million, that Steven will look at that as nope. Go look at the safeties, bro. How many safeties have we paid over $5, $6, $7 million over the last 5 to 7 years since Dak has been here or since the end of Tony Romo? We just haven't really paid that position.
The last safety that they paid was Roy Williams.
Well, Gerald Sensabaugh got a contract, but I don't know how big his was. So that's why I said the last 5 to 7 years. Yeah, but see, listen to Barry, check out the Barry Church one. And Church talked about this. I got to get him back on the show. He ain't cost nothing, B. He didn't cost nothing because they signed Barry Church when he tore his ACL in like the middle of the season or something like that. So they got him on the cheap while he was on an undrafted free agent deal. So Barry didn't cost nothing.
He tore his Achilles.
Achilles, okay. Gerald Sensabaugh was the guy that they signed from a different team on like a 4-year-ish deal that was a little bit more than you would think. But they haven't done that since at that position. So, I'm a little worried that they will let Curse go because he'll be a little bit too much than Steven wants it to be, which I think would be a mistake because Curse actually allows Micah to be Micah.
Man, you hit the nail right on the head. He absolutely does. And do you think that they could actually bring Amari's number down by adding a year to his deal?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, B. I would absolutely extend Amari and spread out that cap hit, prorate bonus or whatever they do to where it comes down from $20 million this year and $22 next year. It'll come down a little bit more. But yeah, Amari Cooper is worthy of extending. That's the easiest route to go.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Easiest route. You don't cut him. You don't get no.
Extend him.
You don't cut him. Yeah, just extend him a year. All right, man, G, I'm going to let you go, man. Always good talking to you, G.
Man, great call, B, as always. Appreciate you.
All right, bro.
Yeah, man. As we were talking that through, I just kept thinking about Ken Hamlin. I'm like, God dang, dog. I don't think he'll be a Ken Hamlin. Here's why. Dan Quinn, number 1. Number 2, I think the talent potential on this defense will help elevate him too, like it did this year for real. And we talked about at the end there. I think if they go into the off season and they look at his impact, all of his impact can't be measured on the field. Meaning the fact that he's a green dot guy, there's a domino effect to it. It allows Micah Parsons to not have to deal with that. And I'm not saying Micah can't handle that at some point. I'm pretty sure Micah will be the green dot guy in his career sooner rather than later. I'd just rather it not be now. He's still a young dude. He's still learning in this league. You don't fully learn the league until you're at the end of your rookie contract, and then you're still growing to learn the league. So keep that off of Micah's plate because he's already going to have other things on it. You get rid of Curse. It took Curse, 4 weeks, y'all? Something like that. I don't know. It took him a little bit to get the green dot. It took some circumstances. It took D-Law going down. It took Micah coming down to play defensive end. Who becomes that guy if you don't want it to be Micah? It's never going to be a corner. It's usually going to be your linebacker or a safety. So, and you don't have, you remove Curse from this equation. You don't have safeties. You got a rookie, second-year player in Israel Mukwamu and Coyle. Is it Tyler Coyle? You don't have any safety depth. So he's definitely, I said it before, Curse, Randy. That's where I'm at with it. Jay says he knows Q's system was a huge part of him prospering. Steven's going to try and get rid of Coop, says Jamin. D-Block says Ken Hamlin robbed us. I mean, did he? Go get your bag. That's how I feel about the players. He took advantage of his situation, D-Block. He took advantage of his situation. I think this is a very important offseason. This offseason, early too, will tell me exactly how all in the Dallas Cowboys are. They need to inject some type of hope. And I told you, I'm going to get mines up. That's just part of me being a fan and making sure I enjoy the upcoming season. Hope is not being delusional, though. But they need to do something. And I think it starts very early. It starts with not removing two of your best players. It starts with getting aggressive, moving these contracts around and adding certain pieces and bringing back certain pieces. I don't necessarily think they need to bring back a whole bunch of players. I don't. We go look at the list. We ended the 2018 draft class, free agency. I don't think you need to bring all those guys back. Could you bring back a Dalton? Sure. I don't think you need to bring back a Dalton. Could you bring back a Dorrance Armstrong? Sure. I think you can go get a Dorrance Armstrong somewhere else. Could you bring back a Connor? I wouldn't do it. Sure. But you go look at this list and you're like, okay, we're not losing core guys. The core guys are under contract. But if you bring back a few, just a few, and those few to me are J-Ron and Randy, I think you're on your way to running this thing back talent-wise. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there for me. Those two guys are my top priority before it even hits free agency. Y'all coming back. I'm going to show the nation. I'm going to show Cowboy fans we want to get back to where we were and continue to advance. I know Dallas Cowboy fans. I know everything else that surrounds it, but I'm talking about the talent. And it starts with bringing those two guys back. TC915 says, Sky, what do you think about the Dante Fowler Jr. report that he might be a free agent target because of Dan Quinn? Fowler, I believe, played 1 year over there, right, y'all? 1 year? So I have a hard time calling him a Quinn guy, but he played under him for a few games. He's a pass rusher. He's not the guy that was drafted, but he's a veteran dude. He could fill that Terrell Basham role type of situation. I think you got a Terrell Basham role guy in Terrell Basham, but I'm never going to be a guy who says no to talented pass rushers. I don't think that Fowler's going to cost you a lot. If he does, I'm out. If he doesn't, give me the guys. There's my Dorrance Armstrong replacement. Boom, you're done. Don't got to worry about defensive end if you bring back Randy and Dante Fowler. Let the chips fall as they may in the draft. Appreciate you, Sin City Cowboy, for the donation.
Super chat.
He says, with the $9.99 donation, showing some love, Sky, the newest member of Cowboys Nation, been kicking my first time dad, y'all. Hashtag run it back. Let's clap it up for my guy, Sin City. Welcome to fatherhood, brother. Welcome to fatherhood. I tell you this right now, your sleeping days are over. So you can forget about that. There's no such thing as sleeping in for a long time. Okay? But you'll love every minute of it. You'll love every minute of it. Shout out to Sin City and his wonderful wife or lady on their newborn baby. Quinn signed him to. Oh, so Quinn signed him to a big contract. Did he have a big contract? I didn't know he had a big contract over there. If that's the case, yeah, that takes that interest up a little bit more. I thought it was just a regular contract, but if he's the one that was on board with signing him to a big deal, yeah, I can see that happening, and I would welcome it because again, I think Dante Fowler was a more talented pass rusher than Dorrance Armstrong, but Dorrance had his career year, so yeah, I welcome that, y'all. Professor O says he fits Guy's profile for what players we target. Go through the 3-point checklist for Cap Boyd targets. Is he on the right side of 30? Check. He has some injury issues, some injury concerns. Is he coming off an injury? Check. I know for a fact he was injured, right? And does he have some talent? Check, check, and checkmate. He definitely fits the Cap Boyd criteria. If he's cheap. He's got to fit under that. In fact, while I got y'all here, man, let me just check it out before I leave because that is an interesting one. I thought he had like a modest contract. So he signed $23 million guaranteed. Oh, do you have a $12 million? Okay, he signed a 3. Wow, he got paid. Yeah, he definitely got paid. TC 915. 3 years, $45 million contract, $14 million signing bonus, $29 million guaranteed. Yeah. So now I don't know. It all depends how much he would be asking in the open market. And I don't think he's old either. He's 27. So he's a former number 3 overall pick. Remember, I believe by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, I don't know now. It depends if he's going to fall under that threshold. I think the $5 million threshold would apply here. I think they'd be willing to spend $5 million, but I don't know if they go higher. But what if Fowler is the Randy replacement as opposed to Randy? We're opening up a whole can of worms here. We just talking. Y'all know how we do. But all right, man. We're gonna head on up out of here, guys. This was a great show. Appreciate you guys calling in. We finally finished off the 2018 class. I think we went through that thing pretty well. There is a high possibility no one returns from that class. I would not be shocked. When we talk through these things, I couldn't find it in me to feel confident that these guys will be back because most of them had career years, meaning they're going to be outpriced in Dallas. But I enjoyed going through this class. Maybe we'll talk 2019 class. But I know next week we're going to try to ramp up the draft stuff. We're going to ramp up the free agent stuff and continue to go through all the news that drops with the Dallas Cowboys as we move forward. Steven said, don't say it. Jay says, what's your take on Stingley? Oh, man, Stingley's awesome. I don't think he'll be there. Stingley Jr. is a beast, but I it's not going to happen. One of those things I'm thinking. Kyle Hamilton, love him, not going to happen. One of those things. You know what I mean? One of those things. All right, Cowboys Nation, man. I appreciate y'all coming through. Let me go ahead and press this button. Find it. Dang, where is it? There we go. Y'all make sure y'all tune in this Sunday, A to Z Sports Primetime. My guy, Mauricio Rodriguez, will be in the building. Check out A to Z Sports Dallas.com. I will be back Monday. Y'all enjoy this weekend. First weekend knowing there will be no more football moving forward. But we got you covered here at A to Z Sports Dallas. I'm your man, Skywalker. We out. Peace. Love you. Shout out to the My Gods. Should I drop it? Should I drop it? Should I drop it? It's Friday. Let's go ahead and do it.
I want me some glory hole.